And so right now, one of the things we're actually studying in that system is dispersal of seeds. Mm-hmm. So those 30 to 40% of understory plants in this ecosystem actually are dispersed by ants. So ants are really important dispersers. And really? Seed dispersal is really important for plants, right? Because it takes those seeds and it moves them to a new location that allows that seed to germinate or moves them around forests. And so we've studied a couple of invasive species that are affecting actually this sort of interaction between ants and plants. One are other invasive ants. So there's other invasive ants that sort of come into forests and they outcompete native ants, and then they're not really good at dispersing the understory plants, so they sort of stop dispersal. Mm-hmm. And a couple of those species, one is called the European fire ant. It's not related to, there's another fire ant that occurs in the south. They're not related, but it also does sting, and it occurs in these sort of really high abundances. And the other one is this new species we just found called Nylandaria, or I think the common name is the crazy ant. And what that ant does actually is it comes and it sort of eats a part of the seed, but it doesn't disperse the seed.
How do ants disperse seeds?
Yes, I didn't explain that. It's very cool. These 30 to 40% of understory plants, again, all the pretty spring ephemerals, their seeds are actually adapted to be dispersed by ants. So, if you come across a trillium when it has seeds, I actually urge you to sort of open up the fruit and look inside, and you'll see this cool thing I'm about to tell you. So the seeds actually have these little appendages that are lipid rich or fatty appendages that you can just take off the seed. And the ants are attracted to that appendage. The appendage has these certain chemicals that attract the ant. The ant comes and it picks up the seed and it moves it to its nest, and then it eats that little food reward, and then it takes that full seed and it actually plants it outside of its nest. And so it's actually a mutualism where the ants are getting food that they feed to their larvae, and the plants are being dispersed without their seed being ruined. And so that's how these particular plants are dispersed by those particular ants. And there's some ants that are really good at dispersing those seeds, and they disperse them, as I said, right? So they take them to their nest, they take off the reward, they plant it. But then there's lots of ants, like a lot of these invasive ants, that don't do that. So those invasive ants, they might come and they actually eat the whole seed. So that's not good for the seed. Or they actually, we call them a robber or an elizome robber. So they'll come and they'll take off that little reward, and then they just leave the seed, and then they don't plant it. And so these invasive ants are sort of disrupting this really important interaction.
Wow, that is such a cool interaction. So I'm going to tell you that sounds like something that you hear about in the tropical rainforest, where you have like an ant and a plant that are so closely related and so closely adapted to each other that they actually, it's almost like the ants are farming the plants, or maybe the plants are farming the ants. I'm not sure. Both. Mutualism, right? Yeah. And so I grew up and hearing about like special things like that in the rainforest, but it happened in New York State too.
Yeah, it's cool, and that's why I feel like a lot of people don't know about this interaction, and spring ephemerals are just beautiful and cool, and a really special part of sort of the deciduous forest ecosystems in New York State that a lot of people are paying attention to right now. But in addition to those spring ephemerals just being beautiful and interesting in and of themselves, they also have this really neat interaction. And the seeds are also really amazing. If you actually look at all their seeds and all these lipid-rich appendages, which the term is a lyosome. They're all really neatly shaped and stuff as well. So it's a really neat, somewhat specialized interaction right here in New York. Yeah. So.
Well, I am so glad I got to learn that today. Thank you.